Hey there, this is Brian. Been quite a while since I've posted a video, probably over a year, but I've seen some folks showing their card rooms and how they collect. So I thought maybe I would show my card room today to you and a few things on how I collect as well. Card room is basically my office slash baseball cards and slash video collection from my son. So there's a few things in this small little room. I don't have the biggest of collections, but it's what I collect, and I'll turn this video around and give you a tour. So as I said earlier, this is my card room. There's my office. I work from home a couple days a week. But as you can see, it's kind of a small little room here. I don't have the largest of collections, but what I collect is mainly the 70s cards, vintage cards from when I grew up as a kid. And I got some sets up here, 72s, 78s, some doubles, 78s and 79s, 77. This is all baseball. And then I get down here and I have a little bit of basketball, some vintage basketball in those boxes. The 75 set in there, and then the 76. And then further on down I had some 87s and 88s, but didn't really collect a whole lot of that, and also some football. And then I also have a few graded cards, which not too many, SGC and PSA. And you can see some of the other things I collected, the 7-Eleven cups and RC cans and whatnot. And then down here I got a little bit of my storage stuff, top loaders and penny sleeves and things like that. And then over to the right here have my binders. And my pride and joy basically is the 71 set, because that's the one that I started collecting when I was younger, and on down to the 73, 74 set, 79 set, and then I also collected the 71 set of the basketball. That's a complete set as well, and then some vintage football collection there, 73s and 72s and that. And I'll break all this out, give you a little bit more vision of what I got there. And then over here on this wall, like I said, there's a collection of tapes, videos, VCR tapes that my son collects. As most of you know, he's autistic, and a man's got to have a collection, so there's his collection. And then back over here to finish out my collection, I've got some 3,000 count boxes of what I call my A to Z PC, and I'll break out those as well so I can kind of give you an understanding what I mean by the A to Z. And then I've got a starter box collection here of my Paul Goldschmidt PC. I like to PC him. I think he's a good ball player and really enjoy watching him. And then over here, some stuff I got ready for my mission trip to El Salvador. I'll be leaving next week for that. And finally, back on this wall, some items that I got from some YouTubers. This one came from Reese Indy Card Ranger. Picture of Ted Simmons tagging out Ken Griffey Sr. with Joe Morgan in the background there. And Ted Simmons was my idol growing up because I played catcher in baseball as well. And I was a Cardinals fan. There's a picture of Bob Gibson. I took of him at a spring training game here in St. Pete. And then I also have a couple items here, Cardinal baseballs and things like that. And then a couple drawings here, one from Scott Reindeer Studios and the other one from Ozzie Smith, from Four Leaf, that they sent me several years ago. And I do have a Stan Musial autograph as well, which I'll show in the next video. But let me get some of these things broken out for you, and I'll let you take a look at a little deeper into what I collect. Basically, to give you an idea of what I meant by my A to Z PC collection, it basically starts off with Hank Aaron here, and these are players that I grew up watching, from Hank Aaron, Johnny Bench, George Brett, Lou Brock, some of the older players back in the day, Clemente, Steve Carlton, Bob Gibson. You can see some of their names there. but I also have a mixture of some of the modern day players in there. Couple players here, Dylan Carlson, Ellie De La Cruz back here as well. And then, of course, my man Paul Goldschmidt. I got some doubles of his card, some Vladdy Guerrero in the back there, Vladdy Jr. And then it carries on over here to where I have some Ichiro, Bo Jackson, and some, as well as the Reggie Jacksons and Pete Rose, a couple of Brooks Robinson cards, Frank Robinson cards. There's the Thurman Munson card, some cards of his, as well as, like I said, some newer players, Albert Pujols, Shohei Ohtani. I got a couple cards of his, but you get the idea. And some Derek Jeter here, but basically it starts with the A with Hank Aaron, goes on up to Tom Seaver, and then the last box that I have, and why I call it the A to Z, is basically for this next box, which I'll show you here in a second. Which is basically the rest of my A to Z PC, and that's the Barry Zito, which is the last card I basically have in my collection here. Not sure if you can see it from back there, but that's the Barry Zito card. So that's why I call it A to Z. And before him, I got some Robin Yount, and I got some Christian Yelich in here somewhere. But basically, that's the gist of why it's called an A to Z PC. And again, you can see I've got a mixture. There's some my Ted Simmons cards, Ozzie Smith, some Juan Soto, some Bobby Witt Jr., some Mason Wynn. So I mixed in a few of the players, modern day players today that I like watching, and I think are making a name for themselves. And then also, I collected back in the early 70s and early 80s as well, these cards, the Renato Galasso cards. And that's basically, they're basically photos of some of the players of the day back in the 20s and 30s. And, you know, cards that, you know, I couldn't just buy their playing day cards because they're so expensive, but these these cards aren't quite as costly. They fit my budget really nice, and as you can see, you know, they got some big players that you can get. They're basically headshots of some of these guys and some action photos as well. But you get the idea that majority of them are done by this lady. Her name was Renata Galasso, and she had a basically a store in Brooklyn, New York. and here's the back of the cards there. But it was in Brooklyn, New York in the late 70s and early 80s, and she would put together these sets for these teams, and they liked it so much that she continued to make more of these sets and basically sold them from her shop there. And so I collected all the sets going back starting in 1977 with this nice Joe DiMaggio. I mean, they're nice pictures, I think, and you know, it's a good way to get some of the big names cards, and they're, you know, actual pictures of the players either at spring training or on the ball field there. But basically I collected all those sets from the 77 all the way up to 84. And then finally the last box here excuse me, the last box here that I'm going to show you is for my Paul Goldschmidt collection. So here is my Paul Goldschmidt PC, which I've kind of started. Obviously I don't have all his cards, but I just kind of started this about a year and a half ago, but starting with his 2011 cards, basically. Got some of his minor league playing day cards here, which I thought were pretty nice pickups to have. There's another minor league playing day card as well. And then further into a couple of his Bowman cards that he has, first year cards. And then of course the 2011 cards that are same year that Trout came out. Rookie card. That's the Walmart blue. And then I also have the gold border one as well. And I also have this other one that I have graded, which is what they call the Diamond Anniversary Cognac version. And it graded out as a 6, which I thought was kind of low because I thought this card deserved a little better grade, but I may take it out and get it regraded. But anyways, that's the 2011 version of that. And then you can see I go all the way back through the years, all the way to 2025 as well. And this is one of his first Yankees cards with him and Bellinger and Judge on the front. And that's when they homered. I think it was either the first or second game of the season. And since then he hasn't really shown much power, but he's a gritty ball player, and I just like him. And I also have some cards, autographs that I'm looking at possibly getting graded, and not sure if I'll get them graded or not. But anyways, this is a what they call a cosmic card, I guess, from Topps Chrome, and nice one of him in his Cardinals uniform. This was from the USA World Games, and then a couple more. This one's one of the thicker cards here, but another again with in the Cardinals card or uniform, as well as this one. So those are ones I'm possibly going to get graded as well, and they're nice cards to have to add to my collection there for him. And next I'll show the binders that I have of my 71 football, baseball, and basketball. So here's my 71 set. It's a complete set, and you can see right there card number 5, Thurman Munson. I got a couple of his, and again, these are cards that I had from when my childhood. I started collecting this set in 71, and probably what you're looking at in this set is 80% of the cards that I kept from when I was a child, and probably 20% I upgraded. But majority of the cards that I paid for to complete the set were variation cards, and basically what those were, for example, this Boots Day card here. It's a variation card, and the reason they call it a variation, as you can see on these two, over his right ear, there's a little difference there. There's some ballpark lights on the left card there, and then on the right card, the ballpark lights aren't there. So that's where I spent some money, was searching these down and trying to find them. Actually, the one without the lights is more expensive than the one with the lights behind his ear. Those are, that's what they call the variation, obviously, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. All these sets do have their variations. And some of the checklists also had variations. And to show you an example of that as well is the Series 6 checklist. And basically on this, which is kind of difficult to see right off, but if you look at the helmet, in the front of the helmet on the card on the left, you can see there's a black squiggly line going down to the bill. And then on the right, that squiggly line's not there. So it's small little things like that. And also the color's a little different. Lighter blue on the left, darker blue on the right. But those are some of the examples of some of the variations that I chased down. And I think total there was 7 cards. There's a Harmon Killebrew card that has a variation. A couple others that have variations, but that's where most of the money I spent to upgrade went, was getting those variations. And then a couple of cards that I upgraded. I did upgrade this Ted Simmons card here. I had his original, which I have in my regular PC, but this card I did upgrade because it was a little better centered, cleaner edges. It's hard to get these edges on these 71s. But up next, I'll show you my 71 set for the basketball. So next up here is the 71 set I collected, in the 71 set, that I collected back in early 71. And as you can see, you got some of the cards here, some of the bigger names. You know, you got your Oscar Robertson back here. But on this particular set as well, I have it priced out as the set, like I did on my 71 baseball set. I have it priced by the set, not by individual cards. There are a couple cards I did price out, but again, there's a nice one of Oscar Robertson there, and I've got a couple of his. I got another one that's in a top loader that I might send off a few of these for grading, but I'm not sure yet. But for some reason, I just really enjoyed this set. I liked all the color, and definitely some Hall of Famers in this set, obviously. And you know, growing up at this in the 70s, I followed basketball pretty heavily back then, but into the Michael Jordan era, I guess you'd call it. But a lot of big names in here. You know, you got John Havlicek in here, and then there's a couple others that stand out. You got Dave Cowens back there, Jerry West, obviously, he's a big name. Pete Maravich. Now this is another card that's pretty pricey in this set if you get it graded. Even raw, it's kind of, you know, up there, 20-30 bucks depending on condition. But you got a nice Bob Lanier there, guys that you've heard of if you watched back then. And of course, Will Chamberlain, one of his later cards. JoJo White, Cazzie Russell. Some of these guys I enjoyed playing. My team back then was actually the Phoenix Suns. I watched a lot of their games. I was into the basketball at this time through the 70s, and like I said, up through the Jordan era. Got a Lenny Wilkins there who went on to be quite a coach. But the biggest card in the set, as most of y'all probably know, is this Lou Alcindor card. And unfortunately, you know, the card I have is not in the best. I mean, it's condition-wise, it's not bad, but centering, it's pretty far off, top to bottom, obviously. But still, you know, that card there would fetch about $20-$25, you know, because it is in good condition, good color. But unfortunately, it got cut off here on the right side. And I've been looking to upgrade it, but even raw, these cards, well centered and, you know, sharp corners and all that, they're very expensive, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but maybe one day. But anyways, that's probably the bigger, I'd say the biggest card in the set. And then back here, some of these points leader cards and some of the championship. You got a couple cards here where you can see Alcindor playing there as well. But some of the point leader cards and scoring leader cards, he's on most of those, as well as a lot of other Hall of Famers. Oscar Robertson, Will Chamberlain. There's another Lou Alcindor, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West. A lot of the Hall of Famers from back then. Now this card here is kind of notorious, I guess. Some of the folks that have seen this card before, they basically call it the bug eyes of Mr. Alcindor. But for some reason, I don't know if he was just playing around there when they took his picture there or what, but he's definitely got his eyes popped out. But that's a good card with him and Chamberlain on that. But anyways, these cards all the way back. The last card here that I purchased, now I actually did have to buy the last card, which was this Red Robbins card, and that was kind of a chase down to get that one, but that's card 233 in the set. But anyways, that's the 71 set that I have, and I've got some duplicates of that as well as some cards I took out prior to putting this in binders that I thought were a little nicer that I might send off for grading. But anyways, up next I'll show you my vintage football, and we'll wrap it up with some of the graded cards that I have. So here is some of my vintage binder set that I have here, the 1972. You can see first page of it is basically rushing leaders, scoring leaders, and whatnot. We got a Roger Staubach on there, Larry Zonka, Bob Greasy up there, Lynn Dawson, a couple of big names there. And then it gets into the actual cards themselves. And nice John Riggins card there. I liked him when he was with my Redskins, when he played with them. Billy Kilmer, guy who's famous for the wobbly football that he throws. Never really threw a spiral, they say, but did well with them for a long time. But I like these cards. I picked them up when I was a kid as well. And I would say that the majority of these I still kept from my childhood. I'd say I probably purchased an additional 10% of them just to do some upgrades on a few of the cards that were kind of dinged up. But as you can see, most of them are in pretty decent condition. Well centered, nice colors. There's an Archie Manning up there at the top. And a couple of the big cards out of here would be the Joe Namath, I guess. And Jim Plunkett's got a nice, that's kind of a that might be the first year card. I'm not sure if that's first year or second year card. But I guess, you know, Joe Namath would be a big name that you'd call out on this set. There's a nice Bob Greasy as well. O.J. Simpson had a good card in here as well. And not a bad set at all. I just liked picking them up. I like the, as it kind of compares to like the basketball set, you know, it's got the big letters there. You can read the names, very colorful. Right there is the Joe Namath there. I got a couple of his, which I'll show in a few seconds here. The other one I have that might send it off for grading. There's a nice Gale Sayers. It's got a little fading in the corner there, but I got a couple of his as well. And then it gets into some of these action photos. And basically, it's the full set there. The Roger Staubach is another big card. And that's a rookie card of his, I believe. And then further back, I've got some of the 73 set. And I'll show a couple of them as well. The big card in that, I guess, would be a Terry Bradshaw's. Got a nice card in there. Alan Page and some others. I'm missing a few of those cards there. There's the Terry Bradshaw on that set. But I'm missing quite a few in this set. Not a whole lot, but you know, it is a pretty large set compared to the 72 set there. But anyways, like I said, I do have a few that I pulled out as well from my 71 set, and this is the Bradshaw, and it's probably the top card there. And even it beat up like this, it probably would get about $50 raw. But I've been trying to look for a nice one of those, and man, they're not cheap either for just a raw card. Same with the Mean Joe Green here, and that one's not a bad looking card. We got a nice Bart Starr, and then like I said, I have another Gale Sayers here. This card's a little better than the one that's in the binder. And then a couple of these O.J. Simpson cards, and a couple of those are, one's a little better than the other, might be a little better centered. And then another the Joe Namath horizontal card here, which I think that one's in real good shape. I might send that off to grade. And then again, the Bradshaw, which is one that I might send off for grading. And finally, a Johnny Unitas card here that looks real nice, real sharp. But anyways, I just wanted to give you a sample look at those. You know, like I said, I got a binder full of these, and I still need quite a few for this set here, for the 73 set, but I'll work on it eventually. It's something I can work on. But anyways, I just wanted to give you an idea of some of my vintage football there. And my next section of the video, finally ending it, will be on the few graded cards that I have. So hold on. So to wrap things up, I just thought I'd show you the small little group of cards that I did get graded. On the left side here, the PSA, right side's SGC, which I've gone with more recently. But on the PSA side, I got some of my vintage cards graded several years ago. Here's a 73 Franco Harris. Came back a 7, which was a decent grade for that. These two cards, I was a little confused as far as the grading on each one. They look pretty similar to me. Center wise, they look good. Color wise, sharp corners, I'm not sure, but Seaver got a 4 and the Ryan got a 6. So I'm not really sure what the big differences were to take off 2 points there, but whatever. And then again, here's a 72 rookie card, Mr. Carlton Fisk there. That came back as a 6 and pretty well centered for as old a card as it is. Then I have a Shohei Ohtani. This basically is the freshman flash card from 2018. Back with his Angels. That came back as a 10. And then I have a Paul Goldschmidt auto on the Allen and Ginter and 2012. Thought that was a really neat little card there. It's a mini. And or I'm not sure if it's a mini. I'm sorry. It's a regular size card. It just looks like a mini. It's in the frame there. But anyways, I came back as an 8. And then these cards here, I always collected I like these Baseball Finest cards whenever I see them out there. And this is the Robin Yount. This is one that I was given as a gift from one of the fellow YouTubers. And these next 3 or 4, I think, same thing. A couple of them I won on contests. This one I think was one that I won in a contest here. Fernando Tatis Paper Prospects. Came back as a 10, and then this one here was gifted to me as well. The 2017 Paul DeJong. I'm a Cardinals guy, so he sent me that. And then this one here is the Bo Bichette, another one that I won in a contest. And this one here is the USA baseball team, Mark McGwire from '85. And this one again was one that I can't remember if I bought this online or just had it graded. I kind of, getting up there in age, 63, 64 years old, it's hard to remember certain things. But this one I do remember. I won the card itself on a contest. And it came, sent it off for SGC's, the 97 Star Date card, they call it. Came back as an 8.5. This is one that I had in my collection that I sent for SGC grading. Came back an 8, the Tony Gwynn first year card from '83. Same thing here at the Mother's Cookies. Sent these cards, these next few cards actually to Mike O with another YouTuber here. And he sent them off to the SGC group. Here's a Billy Ripken with the famous letters on the end of the knob there. And that came back as an 8. They call it the error card. I've got the other 2 cards as well, the one that's blacked out and the one that's whited out. But this one is more rare and a little more famous, I guess. Keeps going up in price from what I see. Here's a nice decal edge that I sent in, again, to Mike O to get it graded. The 71, 72, kind of give you an idea, my set there that I showed earlier, how some of them might grade. This comes in at a 6, and I think most of my set would be around that range, 5 or 6. Same with the 71s. Both of these pretty nice for 71, especially with the black borders. The Yastrzemski 6.5, and then the Nolan Ryan, very popular card in that set, came back as a 5. And so I think most of my cards in that set would be right in that range as well. And then the 1968 Rookie All-Star Trophy for Mr. Seaver, Tom Terrific. Always liked that card. It's a nice pose there. Came back as a 5.5. And then last but not least, the rookie card for Mr. Schmidt of the Phillies. Came back as a 6.5 from 1973. So anyways, guys, that's my card room, how I collect. Oh, I forgot one other card here. I'm sorry. This one here was in my collection all these years. For some reason, I guess in the 90s, I either bought this in a collection or I bought it by itself, but it turns out it's a pretty decent card to have. It's a Tony Hawk rookie card from Sports Illustrated Kids, and this is the back here. Basically talks about his, when he got into the profession of skateboarding and how he's a couple of tricks that he's done, and first one to do certain things. But actually, it was not a bad find in my collection. I didn't even know I had it. The card itself raw would probably go for about $25 in very good condition, and for some reason this one just got an authentic minimum size not met, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyways, that's it, guys. That's my card room, how I collect, what I collect, how I kind of organize things. I appreciate y'all sticking with it, and hopefully I'll get around to doing some more of these videos. And like I've always ended my videos before, just remember, collect like you're a kid.